I figured out that I don't really need just to depend on actual people just to learn from. If that material is made available to me and it add value to me,
Mm.
why not I try to read and digest every single thing that I could and gain new perspectives out of it. So that's why I love books.
Good day, beautiful people. Today I am joined by one of our tribe member, Lou, and we will be talking about the book club called Bookworm Collectives. But before we jump into that topic, I just want to ask Lou personally, like, what are some of the ways that you actually enjoy helping people?
It always starts with a solid purpose statement. And when I say purpose statement, my purpose statement is goes like this. This is Ludership. I focus on adding value daily by bringing people closer to their significance. And what I've learned through the years since I started self education 9 years ago is that why value is essential to people. And because you have that question in mind, the how comes in and how can I add value to somebody? That is what the burning question is behind adding the value to people.
Wow, that's very powerful, and I love that. And now I'm curious of how did you actually develop such keen interest in doing what you're passionate about? Like if you can give me a backstory of when did you start this?
So when I was a kid, ever since 6 years old through 17 years, when I didn't know about self education, the only outlet that I had was in school.
Mm,
And library has been my biggest brother, I would say. I put it in that paradigm because every single book made available in the library, if I could remember, encyclopedias to almanacs to even like fantasy comics and all of these stuff, they became my friends because that is where I felt belonged. And
mm,
books made me realize they can add value to me by rewiring the way my mind thinks. And I think because of that, I've learned that books had become an essential part of our language. But beyond language is why do we learn things?
mm,
And every single author I've read through those years, even in those encyclopedias, they have their own way of presenting their truths. And it finds and brings value to me. And I love books since then for years. I figured out that I don't really need just to depend on actual people just to learn from. If that material is made available to me and it add value to me,
mm.
why not I try to read and digest every single thing that I could and gain new perspectives out of it. So that's why I love books.
Amazing. That's beautifully said. And you reminded me of the conversation I had with Lorna where she identified the difference between coaches, mentors, and influencer. Coaches and mentors, there are actual people that you can get to interact with in a daily basis. But for her, influencer are books, the author that she gets to get to know it and learn from that actually influences her perspective in life, her gave her a new idea. So that's beautiful. I'm glad that at such a young age you got to be influenced by a brilliant thinker. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lou, for sharing that. Now, maybe people are curious, like, how did you become part of Emerge PH and why did you decided to become part of the tribe?
So out of nowhere, Keith sparked some conversations for a few days, and then he just sent me a referral link out of nowhere, and he was like, "Hey, can you just try to explore this thing and see what it can do for you?" And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So it's just a referral out of nowhere from Keith, and I found out that it was a platform of a community. And why did I engage so much in this community for quite over a month now? There's one thing in my history that I felt that there is a significant failing forward figure. Gladys, I've been doing offline work for
Hmm.
9, 10 years, and everything was offline. I didn't care if like we can go in Facebook and build a future connection. All I cared was if we can have a one-on-one coaching session, or we can have a team of 5, team of 10, book clubs, peer facilitation, career coaching. I did that everything offline. But there's a significant part of learning that I figured out that how can you continuously build the safety and the vulnerability and integrity of a relationship? And looking at the 21st century, people are online. And
Mhm.
when I figured out that mighty networks of EmergePH has become a platform like that, I stick through it because one thing I saw, it works. I mean, it really works. And what's fascinating about it is it can do so much in such a span of time that if everybody can go work together as a team, which pretty much all the teams that I work with offline, most if not all, I try to get back to them. They no longer could be reached at some point. And so the platform is there. I'm starting something new. And I know we're just making small steps every day in progress, but at the very least, I found a team that I can work with.
Mhm.
And I felt that there is a value exchange that it's not only me who is talking or speaking about my truth or sharing the knowledge I know or perspectives that I know.
Mhm.
Other people in the community are doing that as well. And so that's what is essential, going back to the value that I talked about in the first part of this conversation. I found a purpose with the people in the community. It's co-creation and collaboration that I love. And even if it's online, I feel somehow that there is still that connection that we established for each other. So that's why I'm still here in the tribe.
That's amazing. I feel really grateful that we get to attract you inside the community and be able to connect with you. And I resonate so much. Like when I started diving into self development, self education, and I was early stage, Lou, compared to you. It just happened 2 years ago. And first thing that I did is to really gather people because it can be a lonely journey. And I did scale you for the first time. But now that I moved to a different island, like how can I continue that connection between those people that I get to meet twice a month? And really, having this platform of Mighty Networks, Emerge PH is like the bridge for me to
Yeah,
continue connecting with those people. And look at you, you're from Cebu. I never get to meet you there, but right now we're able to still get in touch. So, you know, that's the magic of today's technology, something that we could really be grateful for. That it's amazing.
exactly.
Now, I want to jump into the most important part of this conversation, really about, the Bookworms Collective. And I've been through some cohorts like this. I've been to one or two book clubs before. I just want to ask you, why do you think it's important for people to join this kind of group gathering?
Well, we always go back to the roots of the human being. And part of human skills is building relationship. Now, if you will notice, books still give credits to where it's due. Who wrote the books? It's people. It's
Mhm.
not an animal, an object. No, it's people. It's people who has this perspective of an idea or a subject matter, putting it in their language, putting in their writing. And if you look at that facet of life, the relationship between you and the author seems somehow one-sided. It's just like the person is talking to you and asking your questions and giving you assignments and all of that. But who is going to be your level-headed people in the journey, right?
Mhm.
And research tells a lot about people not finishing books. There are a lot of figures. I don't know what's the real figure, but most people don't get to even finish at least 25% of what they read because there is that going back to that connection,
Mhm.
the human skill of building relationships. When you don't really have that mental picture of imagining the author really being in front of you, speaking to you, being your mirror, if you don't have that picture yet and you're still starting to read, at least if you have that group of 5, 10, 15, 20, and there's this facilitator who's been
Mhm.
doing it for quite a while and giving you that leadership to follow through and to check on you and to give you that bit of stretch and say, just checking in you every 2 days, hey, how are you with the pages? What did you learn by the day? Is there something out of you've read? And this is important. The question. Is there something that you've read by far that you tried putting in your day and you've learned something out of it? Did you do something out of what you've read? That's the factor that people would miss. The
Mm.
application stuff. We can always read one book every week, 52 books a year. But the question is, out of those books, how much did you consume that you've put into action, calling yourself to action? And it really takes another person that you trust that would co create that relationship, the journey. And if you're only that one minded person that you
Mm-hmm.
believe one mind would suffice your perspective, I am afraid that I am willing to debunk that idea.
Mm.
Because what if you are a set of 10 people reading the same book together? 10 minds with different perspectives, different languages, different questions, different careers. And you go create this very comprehensive collaboration and you bounce your ideas out and ask those questions. Don't you feel that your mental picture would be challenged if what you're learning is what you're supposed to learn?
Wow.
And if you're learning that, is it really something that would add value to you? Because then again, at the end of the day, not all books we read are the people that we are, some of which have already perfected the craft. And so the matter of inquiry comes from, if I'm going to have another person in the group that I can ask if he or she had a similar or a close or an exact picture of the author, how can I learn from that? And why should I ask those questions?
Mm.
That's the importance of that club, because it's the human connection and the development of knowledge. You know, if if you have that trust and the safety and the vulnerability to speak of those things, I believe you will not only learn 10% of that book, you might even learn 50, 60, even 100%. Or maybe you could even start journaling and you can even create another chapter out of the book for your own, where you've learned a compiled access of knowledge and that would really fit you as a person. So that's why a club is so important compared to just being a lone ranger
Mm.
and reading your own book. So,
Wow, that is amazing how you just explained the importance of having that group of people coming together and learning together. Because I'm an avid reader since I was a kid, since I started learning how to read when I was 5. And for me, it's a safe space for my creativity. But as soon as I grow up, like the human connection that you said, that's something I really miss. Like there is things that I get so excited about that I just learn from the book and I want to share it to people, you know? And I realized John Hasselhoff said, like, when when you learn something and when you start sharing it with other people, I think it's some chemical in your brain, dopamine or other chemical would actually release that gives you that good feeling. And it
yeah,
also helps you to learn faster because it kind of connect in your brain when you share it, when you speak it back to other people. So that's something I feel excited personally to actually be part of this book club too. So it's very nice. Now, another question that I would also ask, like for people who never experienced being in this cohort or never been to a book club, like, can you give us a picture or walk us through of how it would look like?
so the goal is to read one book a month, but it's not just reading it. Okay. So, first week, you're going to have like the introduction. You get to meet the people who you're going to be in the journey with you. And that's automatically creating that stretch and accountability perspective of the group. Because then again, you get to meet these people and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to read this book together with somebody. And then here I am, the facilitator. Maybe I will give you some objectives and how you can start reading. Now, here's what I love about book clubs. I really don't care if you've never read a book. I don't care if you've been reading for quite a while. And I also don't care if what kind of books you really read, because I leave it to you. If you get an audiobook, if you get an ebook or a hard copy, I leave it to you and how you're going to read the book. But as long as you will come to that circle, I will give you those simple objectives of how we can start reading it. And in that 1 month, we will create a schedule where on the second week, a week after the introduction, where you meet the people, you will have achieved at least 40% of the progress of the book. Now, here's what's amazing. After that week, you go 40 to 80%, and in the last week, 80 to 100% completion of the book. But here's the catch. In the introduction session, the first week, you will have a dyad or a triad, depending on the total number of people who will be with you in the journey. Now, what is that? A partner. You are not going to feel that you're reading it alone. You're accountable for that person who is your partnership. Hey, next day and the following day, we, where are you at your book? Which page are you at? Can you tell me something that really sparked you so far? And that's one thing that would excite reading. Because when I was reading before, when I started reading, I was all alone. I feel you, Gladys. Like, it always sparks creativity. But what about my human connection, my self awareness? If, like, especially if the book is something about personal development and it needs to tell you the hard truths that you need to change in yourself,
Mhm.
not all people, I'm not saying this, not all people are willing to accept that being alone.
Yeah.
But if you know that you have a partner with you and they may see that, hey, you have this behavior, and I think we can do something about it through what we're reading. Why not you try to do something different in this aspect and see if a result would come out of it?
Mm,
That's a sample scenario of what change a bookworm collective can do for you. It's not just reading.
mm,
And apart from that, because you come by the end of the 4 weeks, we will celebrate your success. We will try to unravel your personal story if the book really helped you by far. Just even a bit of the book. We don't need the whole book to begin with because
mm,
if you're starting to read, I mean, we don't expect you to like get everything in one go. You can reread the book later, but I mean, did the book somehow change a part of your life? And did you share that to somebody that helped
mm.
them? That's what is the bigger essence of why I love bookworm collectives like this, because it's always celebrating the success you get out of what you have learned from the book and from the author. That's
Wow.
what all matters. And if you repeat that cycle, more people will get engaged because they see, oh, reading books are not boring at all. Reading books is not just like another added baggage to my schedule. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a relationship, it becomes a conversation. So that's in a nutshell I can give about what a bookworm collective will look like. So
Exciting. Wow. Thank you so much, Lou, for sharing that. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who, just like me, is also very excited to become part of it. Now, what does it take, or how can people join and become part of the Bookworm Collective?
So first, you have to be a member of EmergePH. You have to become part of the tribe, and you gain free access to that. But here's the catch: you have to also become a premium member, where you will have to pay a specific amount. Gladys, I hope you can pitch the price. I'm not sure how much is that, and for the period, but we can talk about that a bit later about the premium. Now, what it takes also when you enter the premium space is you will see there that there will be a specific area of the book club or the bookworm collective, and then you will have to own a copy of your book when we start the session. Now we really don't ask you to have the copy on the first day yet because you can start to acquire that right after. As long as you meet the goal for the following week, we can do that. But we will be posting that a few days or at least a week prior to the first club, which book it's going to be, so that you can secure it in advance. So you have to have your own copy. And then again, I don't care if it's an audiobook, an ebook, or a paperback or a Kindle. I don't know. Whatever works for you. And what it takes also is you have to be into the engagement process. This is not me facilitating it and I do all the talking and I do all the questioning. We're going to create this value exchange that I'm going to develop that skill in you to really ask the tough, the burning, and the questions that you really need to ask. Because then again, we're building your skill in the relationship. And there is always this part where you do a stretch and accountability for the partner that you get to work with. So it means you're accountable to check in with that person and see how you're doing. Don't worry, as a facilitator, I will give you the guide that you need to breeze through, what you need to have to do with the book, the progress and the schedule that you need to make. Another expectation that they can get from me is maybe some reading techniques, like how you're going to read the book, maybe somehow in some sort. Um, do you like read the book and then you like point your finger while you're reading the book? All of those tips, I'm willing to give that. And what I love is when you finish the book club, you have to be open enough to tell your success story. Tell us how did it impact you the way it impacted everybody in the circle. Because then again, it's not my story. It's the story of everyone that matters. So that is where it's going to be very exciting. And of course, because of that, you have to be willing enough to share that story to people in the community. Of course, in the free section. Because then again, we will try to bring them into the premium space so that they can see the value why the book club is so important. Why is it a premium value to begin with? Well, if you're going to make a learning investment in your life and you need to train yourself to do a new skill, reading a book is a skill. Not all people are willing to read books.
Hmm.
And it really takes a specific amount of expertise to transition from a non reader to a reader, or from a seasoned reader to become an active reader.
Hmm.
And the premium space is like your learning investment, it is your tool for you to be accountable of the skills that you're going to learn, that you're going to acquire, and how you're going to bring it to others, or even bring it to what kind of work or what kind of service you do in your life. So that's the importance. It's a learning investment that you have to make for yourself. So,
Exactly. And I really find it very crucial. Like, we do a lot of investing. We invest in like buying a house or a car. But then I learned this during Typhoon Odette when my house got destroyed and I just paid for it. I just paid the loan that I get to build that house. It's nothing. And then I realized if all those investment I would put into myself, whatever happens, as long as I'm still alive, even if I lose my job or I lose all, let's say, the wealth that I've acquired, I can still get back on my feet because I have the skills that I've acquired from learning. So that is why for me, investing in yourself is the most like valuable investment that you could do. And for people who wants to join the book club, again, as Lou said, first you need to become part of the tribe and sign up for the premium membership. It's 2,500 for the first 25 members, and this already takes you for 6 months. And you're not only able to access the book club, you can also get other cohorts that you can check under the premium space. And there are mentorship and events highly curated for you. So, this is like a step forward to your growth journey. And I am so excited to see you guys. And Lou, thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I that spark, I'm already a reader, but I love when you said, how can I connect more other than being a lone ranger in this journey? So that's one of the things that I really look forward to and I
yes.
appreciate you so much.
Thank you too, guys. I appreciate you as well.
Thank you, everyone.